All right, so you're here with us on the deep dive because, well, I think it's safe to say you're like us, right? You want to know more, you want to get to the bottom of things, you want the good stuff, the important parts, no need to get bogged down, right?
Absolutely. No wading through a bunch of technical jargon, right to the point. And today, well, it's something that's really, I'd say, essential to, well, pretty much everything we do. How food, what we eat every day, actually impacts how our brains work. Like, think memory and even that spark of creativity we're always chasing.
Yeah, exactly. And, you sent over this article. It's called Foods That Supercharge Brain Function and Creativity. Pretty catchy title. And we're going to break it all down for you, get to the core of it all.
I think it's a great way to think about this as like almost like a cheat sheet, like how can what you choose to eat actually make a difference in how you think, how you remember things. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
Right. I mean, ever hit that wall in the afternoon? Just like brain fog, ideas just won't come. Or maybe you're trying to remember something and it's like right there, but you just can't quite grasp it. I know I have.
Well, maybe what we're diving into today has some answers.
Yeah.
And some tasty ones at that.
Sure.
So the article kicks things off with what it calls the ultimate brain fuel, fatty fish.
And right off the bat, what really stands out is, the omega-3 fatty acids. It's kind of a buzzword, right? But the article really digs into why they matter. So fish like, salmon, trout, even sardines, they're packed with these good fats. And those fats, they're basically the building blocks of a healthy brain.
Yeah, so it's not just like, oh, eat fish, it's good for you. It goes deeper. Like omega-3s, they actually help build the membranes of our brain cells.
Yeah.
Which, sounds pretty important, right? Oh, it's crucial. Think of it this way. Your brain cells, they're constantly talking to each other, sending signals back and forth. And those cell membranes, well, they need to be flexible, like a well-oiled machine. And the omega-3s, especially one called DHA, they make those membranes more flexible, more responsive, so those signals can zip around faster, more efficiently. Basically, your brain can process information more smoothly. Mm-hmm. And that's not all. They also help fight inflammation in the brain. Which, let me tell you, inflammation, it's like a roadblock for your brain power.
Yeah, like throwing a wrench in the gears. And the article, it really backs this up with research. It talks about studies that have shown that, people who regularly eat these omega-3 rich fish, they tend to have better cognitive function overall, better memory, even sharper problem-solving skills. So like next time you're facing a tough challenge, maybe a salmon dinner is the answer. Who knew, right?
Exactly. And the article, it gets practical too. Grilled salmon with some veggies, that's always a good go-to. Mm-hmm. Or even, sardines, they might not be everyone's favorite, but they're super easy to toss on a salad or on some toast.
Right.
And for those who, just don't eat a lot of fish, there's always fish oil supplements. So there's really no excuse.
Right. Options for everyone. So let's shift gears a little bit from the sea to the berry patch. Next up is blueberries, the memory enhancer, according to the article. Now, that's something I think we could all use a little more of. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a room and completely forgotten why.
Right. It happens to the best of us. But with blueberries, it's all about antioxidants, like specifically these compounds called flavonoids. Now, big picture here, these antioxidants, they act like, well, imagine tiny little protectors for your brain cells. And they're fighting off something called oxidative stress, which can really do a number on your brain. Plus, they help reduce inflammation, kind of like those omega-3s we were talking about. It's like a double whammy of protection.
So it's like 2 birds, 1 stone, fighting inflammation and oxidative stress. Seems like a pretty powerful combo for brain health. And, the article talks about how this all leads to, better communication between our brain cells, right?
Yeah, precisely. Imagine your brain is like a network. Right? And those antioxidants are clearing out any interference, making sure those signals are flowing smoothly, efficiently. So you can think clearly, remember things easily. And that, of course, that has big implications for long-term brain health. In fact, the article mentions some research suggesting blueberries might even help slow down brain aging. And who wouldn't want that?
Well,
plus, there's the potential for improved problem-solving skills. So it's not just memory. It's like a whole brain boost.
I like the sound of that. I'm definitely going to be upping my blueberry intake. And the good news is, they're so easy to add to your diet. The article mentions smoothies, topping your yogurt or oatmeal, just snacking on them. Fresh, frozen, dried, there's really no wrong way to eat a blueberry. All right, well, let's move on to something that feels a little more, indulgent. Dark chocolate. The creativity booster. That has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. And what's interesting about dark chocolate, especially, the kind with at least 70% cocoa.
Yep.
is that it's got this whole cocktail of beneficial stuff. Flavonoids, we've talked about those,
Yeah.
bit of caffeine, other antioxidants, and they all work together to, well, kind of wake up your brain.
So it's not just the sugar rush, which, with dark chocolate, you're not really getting that anyway.
No.
It's the actual compounds in the chocolate that are doing the work.
Oh, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do is they help improve blood flow to the brain. And when your brain gets more blood, well, it gets more oxygen, more nutrients.
Yeah.
So it's like you're giving your brain cells everything they need to thrive. And that can lead to better focus, better memory, and, yeah, like the article says, a boost in creativity.
And it's not just about thinking better, right? There's a mood component too. Dark chocolate can bump up those feel-good chemicals in our brains, endorphins, serotonin. So, a little bit of dark chocolate could actually make you feel more inspired, more creative. It's like a win-win.
Absolutely. It's like when you're feeling good, when you're relaxed, ideas flow more easily. You're more open to new possibilities. And the article, gives some great suggestions. A small piece as a snack, adding cocoa powder to your coffee or smoothies, even dark chocolate chips and healthy desserts. It's all about finding ways to enjoy it.
All right, so from sweet to, nutty. The article calls nuts and seeds brain-boosting powerhouses. That's a pretty bold claim, wouldn't you say?
It is, but when you look at what they're packing, it makes sense. Healthy fats, antioxidants, and one that's really important, vitamin E. This vitamin, it's like a shield for your brain cells, protecting them from damage, especially the kind that can lead to cognitive decline. And, they're also full of other good stuff.
So vitamin E, like a brain cell bodyguard. Now, the article specifically mentions walnuts for being high in DHA. That's the omega-3 we were talking about with fish, right? So are walnuts kind of like a plant-based way to get that benefit?
Exactly. DHA, it's a specific type of omega-3, and it's linked to, better cognitive performance, better creativity. The research is pretty clear on that. So, yeah, if you're not a big fish eater, walnuts are a great option.
It's pretty amazing how, different foods can get you to the same place, just through different pathways. And, nuts and seeds, they're so easy to work into your diet. Sprinkle them on salads, on your oatmeal, a handful as a snack. I do that all the time. You can even blend flax seeds into smoothies. Super versatile. Okay, well, next up we've got avocados, the brain-healthy superfood. I mean, avocados are everywhere these days, but what makes them so good for our brains specifically?
Well, it all comes down to those monounsaturated fats. These are the good fats, the ones that actually promote healthy blood flow. And good blood flow, that's essential for your brain. It's like making sure your brain gets all the oxygen and nutrients it needs to function at its best.
So it's like keeping the brain's engine running smoothly. And, the article says that can translate into better focus, better memory, even better problem-solving skills. Plus, they're full of other good stuff too, right?
Oh, yeah. Avocados are packed with vitamin K, folate, which the article points out are really important for preventing cognitive decline. So it's not just about how you feel today. It's about protecting your brain for the long haul.
And they're just so versatile. I mean, you can put avocado on anything. The article mentions, of course, avocado toast. Who doesn't love that? Salads, wraps, smoothies, guacamole, endless possibilities. Okay, let's move on to something that's a staple for so many people, especially at breakfast time. Eggs. The brain's building blocks, according to the article. Pretty accurate description, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Eggs, they're little nutrient powerhouses. And the article really zeroes in on choline, vitamin B12, folate. But that choline, that's a fascinating one. It's actually a precursor to acetylcholine. Now, acetylcholine, that's a neurotransmitter that's essential for, everything from mood to memory, especially when it comes to forming new memories and remembering recent events.
So it's like right at the heart of how our brains work. And the article actually suggests that regularly eating eggs can lead to better mental performance and better concentration. Maybe there's something to that whole breakfast is the most important meal of the day thing.
It's certainly a good argument for a solid breakfast.
Yeah.
And eggs, they're not just for breakfast.
Yeah.
Scrambled, boiled, in salads, sandwiches. And of course, an omelet is a great way to get your eggs and sneak in some other brain-boosting foods like those leafy greens we were talking about.
And speaking of adding things in, let's talk about spices. Turmeric. The brain-activating spice, according to the article. Sounds pretty potent, doesn't it?
It is, and the key player here is curcumin. This compound, it's got powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties, which, we've been seeing that theme throughout our deep dive today. But what's really cool about curcumin is that it can actually cross the blood-brain barrier, so it can get right into the brain and get to work.
Okay, so that's pretty significant, right? It's not just working in the body, it's directly impacting the brain. And the article mentions that it can boost something called BDNF. brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Now, what exactly is that, and why should we care?
Well, think of BDNF as like fertilizer for your brain cells. It helps them grow, helps them make new connections, which is essential for learning and memory. And curcumin, by boosting BDNF, is like supercharging your brain's ability to learn and remember. Plus, it can also stimulate dopamine and serotonin production. So similar to dark chocolate, it can have a positive impact on mood and creativity.
So turmeric, it's not just adding flavor to our food, it's actually supporting our brain function on a really fundamental level. And the article gives some great ideas for using it in curries, soups, stir fries. You can add it to smoothies, make golden milk, which is delicious. And there's always curcumin supplements if you want to get a really concentrated dose. All right, well, let's move on to another category that I think we all know we should probably be eating more of. Leafy greens, the cognitive protectors, as the article calls them.
Couldn't agree more. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, they're all packed with vitamins K, lutein, folate, beta-carotene. And these nutrients, they're like a protective shield for your brain, helping to prevent cognitive decline and just keeping your brain running smoothly.
And the research really backs this up, right? The article mentions a connection between eating lots of leafy greens and having better memory and mental agility. I mean, that's a pretty convincing reason to load up your plate.
For sure. And it's not that hard to do. Toss them in a smoothie. You often can't even taste them. Salads, obviously. Saute them as a side dish. Throw them in an omelet or a sandwich. Easy ways to sneak them in throughout the day.
All right, last but not least, let's talk about a beverage. Green tea, the focus enhancer. I know so many people who swear by their morning green tea to get going.
And there's a good reason for that. The article talks about a couple of key components in green tea that contribute to that effect. L-theanine, it's an amino acid that can actually increase dopamine and serotonin levels in the brain, which can promote a sense of calm focus and also reduce anxiety. And then, of course, there's caffeine, which we know can help with alertness and concentration.
So it's like you get the focus without the jitters. Unlike, sometimes when you have too much coffee, you get that kind of wired feeling.
Yeah.
Green tea seems to be a more balanced way to boost your focus.
Exactly. It's like it gives you that mental clarity without the edge. And the article even suggests that it can boost creativity. So, a cup in the morning, a cup in the afternoon. You can use matcha powder, which is basically concentrated green tea, in smoothies or lattes. Or even iced green tea with lemon. That's a really refreshing way to get your fix.
Well, that's quite a journey we've been on, from, the depths of the ocean to our everyday cup of tea. I think what's really clear is that what we eat has a profound impact on how our brains function. It's not just about physical health, it's about mental health, too.
Absolutely. I think the main takeaway from this deep dive is that, choosing to eat these brain-boosting foods, it's a very tangible way to take control of your cognitive function, improve your memory, unlock your creativity. It's all within your reach.
And that's what's so empowering, right? It's like you can make these small changes to your diet and actually see a difference in how you think, how you feel, better focus, better mental clarity, overall better brain health. It's like you're giving yourself the tools to be your best self.
And that brings us to, I think, a really interesting question for you, our listener. As you've been listening to us talk about all these amazing foods, which ones have stood out to you? Which ones could you see yourself easily adding to your daily routine? And what kind of changes do you think you might notice in your own focus, your own creativity, as you start experimenting with these dietary changes? It's definitely something to think about, literally food for thought.